Haribol, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Can we get a big Haribol for Braj for his Kirtan? And for his wonderful mridanga player. And for all of you, happy Radhastami to everybody. Thank you guys all so much for being here. And for being on time. Look at all you guys. You're amazing. I thought I'd be introducing this program to myself, and then people gradually make their way in. But it's so good that you guys are here, and more people will be joining us as we go. So please do allow people to kind of squeeze into some of those open chairs or make way up in here to the front. The schedule for the evening is that we're going to continue with some more Kirtan, and that Kirtan is going to segue into a beautiful Abhishek that we have planned here. Brahma Muhurta Prabhu, Kulapradeep Prabhu, and a beautiful team of priests and pujaris will be leading us in Abhishek. And then we'll also have a few Radharani bhajans. Today is the appearance day of Radharani, Radhastami, which is why you're here. So we'll have a few Radharani bhajans led by Sri Prahlad Prabhu. And then we'll have Radha Bhakti give a short talk, about 45 minutes, on the glories of Srimati Radharani, followed by more Kirtan and Arti, and then Prasadam feast at the end. Sound like a good idea? Did I miss anything? Okay. And at the final Kirtan, we'll actually have an opportunity. The Abhishek paraphernalia will all move and shift, and we will have an opportunity for people to come up and get a closer darshan, if you like. The darshan will open up in the middle, and we'll have an opportunity for people to come, make a darshan, make a prayer. So that'll be there for you in the evening. Everyone will get a chance to have a close-up darshan. So thank you guys all so much for being here. Also, I've heard that our Amrita gift store is going to be opening this evening at 6:30 for the rest of the evening. I see a couple of people winking, making faces. Wanted to go check it out. If you need anything at all from us, please let us know. We have a water cooler, restrooms in the back. So glad that you're here. We're just going to continue going. And if Mayuri come and lead some kirtan for us, please give her a warm heady bowl. Srimati Radharani Swami Ji ki Shri Brajeshwari Srimati Radharani Maharani ki. Thank you all so much for being here. Much appreciated. We're going to continue on. I won't speak long. We have our Abhishek. Shukrabad is going to lead Kirtan. Shortly after Abhishek, just so you know the flow, we'll have a beautiful talk by Radha Bhakti. And thank you all for being here. Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Shri Radha Ki Jai Radhastami Mahamahottam Ki Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare So, Radharani Prabhu said I'll be singing the Radharani bhajan. He told you before he told me, so. But we'll sing one. There's a beautiful bhajan written by Rupa Goswami. And it has a nice refrain. We can all sing together. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. It's a glorification of Srimati Radharani. There are 3 verses, so I'll sing the verse. Some of you will know it, we can sing along with that. Otherwise, we can all join together to sing the refrain. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Tharune So the verse we just sung says that Radharani dresses very nicely. Namodaralati Vardana Deshe. Her dressing is such that it attracts Damodara, it attracts his lati, attracts his love and affection to her. And so we can also meditate on that when we dress ourselves. We can dress nicely for Krishna. Radharani is dressing nicely, it's attracting Krishna. So we can also, everything that we do, we can think of it as an offering to Krishna. The next verse says that she's born from Vrishabhanu Maharaj like a rising moon. And that she has very dear friends, Lalita and Vishaka. They help her in her meetings with Krishna, they give her good counsel. Vishaka is very wise, Lalita is very, let's say, haughty. She can be very angry and she's very protective of Radharani. So with these 2 friends, a wise friend and a courageous friend, she is engaged in many pastimes of Krishna. Rishabhanudadhi Navashashileke Lalita Shakti Murara Meta Vishake Rishabhanudadhi Navashashileke Shileke, Lalita Shakti, Gunaramita Vishante. This last verse is very pertinent to you and I. Radharani is referred to as Karunam Karunamayi. She is the mother of compassion. Karunamayi. And so the request is Karunam Karunamayi. Oh, mother of compassion, be compassionate to me. Be merciful to me. Please engage me in your service. Please fill me with my heart with love for you, for Krishna. Engage me in service. Prabhupada would always explain the Maha Mantra, which is also a Radha Krishna mantra. Hare is Shri Radha. He would explain the Maha Mantra as a prayer for service. And so the devotee here is praying, Rupa Goswami is praying, please be compassionate, engage me in your service. And he says all the great sages, they all pray to you. Sanaka, Sanatana, these are two of the four Kumaras. They're famous as renunciates. Lifelong brahmacharis, the four Kumaras, the Shantu Kumaras, they refuse to marry. And yet they're worshipping, they're serving Srimati Radharani. Establishing that her tattva, it is beyond any material consideration. Her relationship with Krishna is beyond anything that compares to lust. It is completely transcendental. Prabhupada would make this point very often. He would say, renunciants, the chief of the sannyasis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is crying for Krishna in the mood of Radharani and meditating on Radha Krishna's pastimes. Establishing that their pastimes are on the platform of pure love. Karuna Kurumai, Karuna Parite, Sanaka Sanaka Nabanhita Charite. Karuna Parite, Sanaka Sanaka Nabanhita Charite. Karuna Kurumai, Karuna Parite, Sanaka Sanaka Nabanhita Charite. The refrain of it singing establishes Radharani as the as a new moon who has arisen in Vrindavan, and how she's created a festival of delight in Sri Vrindavan Dham for Madhava, for the pleasure of Krishna. Gokula Taruni Mandala Naite. She's a star risen or a moon risen on the firmament, creating a festival for Krishna's pleasure. Radharani is the essence of love, the essence of prema, the essence of Mahabhat, and she is the personified pleasure principle, Radhini Shakti. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava.
are extraordinarily blessed to have such wonderful souls engaging in such beautiful worship. And thank you to all of you as well. And thank you for those tuning in online. We have a lot of space that opened up here. We're going to go ahead and set up. We're going to invite Her Grace Radha Bhakti to please come to the front. Please give her a big round of applause and a welcome. If somebody from our team can help set up a little space for her to speak, that would be wonderful. A chair from over there would be great. And we have space opened up here, so if anybody here would like to scoot up, or if anybody that's been there in the back would like to come and make and fill space, Radharani would be pleased to get a better look at you. And Radha Bhakti will speak for about 45 minutes, after which time at 6:30 we will have Arti and more Kirtan. And at that time, during that Kirtan, there'll be an opportunity for everybody. We'll have a line during that Kirtan if people want to come up and take a close darshan, the beautiful, beautiful darshan of Shishra Mulidar, and make your prayer to Radharani on this day. And at 7 o'clock, we'll have Prashadam in the back. So thank you again. Radharani, the floor is yours. We'll get a seat for you there. She makes her final second. Please turn to your neighbor and just let them know that Radharani is showering your blessings upon them. Turn to your neighbor, let them know that. Remind them.
Hare Krishna. Hear me in the back?
Haribo!
You're not the back.
Haribo!
So we'll start with a short Jai Radha Madhava and then some simple invocation prayers and then we'll get started. Jai Radha Radha
Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasade Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschalya Deshatayini Panchakalpayurvascha Kripasindhuvyaicha Puritanam Bhavendro Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
See, I'm nervous because I knew I messed up Jay.
Don't be nervous.
I'm so nervous.
We love you, Radha.
We love you, Radha. You're among friends.
This is why I said it, to just get the love. Thank you all very much. I'm feeling extremely grateful and incredibly unqualified to speak to you all today, especially in the presence of so many wonderful devotees. I walked in the room and I was like, I really was hoping there was going to be like 10 people in the room, but we have Sri Prabhu here, we have Guru Prasad Prabhu in the back, Venkata, Krishnji, Rasana, Hari, Yashoda Dalal Prabhu, Sri Radha, Vikanta Bhakti, Yadanath, I mean, so many wonderful senior devotees. I'm quite embarrassed to be speaking here in front of you all today, especially about such a topic that's so high. Varshan Prabhu, Janavi, my goodness. Jai Jagannath, oh my gosh, I'm very I know, I will say that so many of you are like big brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers to me, and that's what makes me feel a little more comfortable being up here. And I really beg all of you for your blessings so that I may say something that is in line with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. I was joking earlier that I'm pretty sure the only reason Dayal asked me to give this class is because my spiritual master gave me a pretty cool name, Radha Bhakti. And he was like, well, Radha Bhakti has to give class on Radhastami, so this is my only qualification. But we are feeling unqualified because to speak about Srimati Radharani, this topic is the highest in all philosophy. To speak about this topic, it's the highest in all theology. And Srimati Radharani is love personified, and her very existence proves the fact that love is superior to God himself. And again, she is love personified. She is known as Mohini, she who brings the supreme power under her power. She is the supreme divine feminine and the source of every other divine feminine, including Subhadra Devi, Vrinda Devi, Kalini Yamuna, Janava Devi. All of these divine feminines, Srimati Radharani is the source of them. She's also the source of another divine feminine that we don't always speak about, Durga Devi. So Durga Devi is the personification of the material energy. So think of Durga Devi as she is Krishna's external potency, also known as Maya Shakti. And then we've got Srimati Radharani, who is Krishna's internal potency, also known as Bhakti Shakti. So both of these divine feminines, Srimati Radharani and Durga Devi, internal energy, external energy, are loving mothers who are willing us back to Godhead, willing us back to be home with our eternal Father, Sri Krishna, in the spiritual world. And both of them do so in very different ways, of course. So Durga Devi, her way of giving love to the living entity is to inflict suffering on the living entity using her trident. So she's got, of course, 3 prongs on her trident. Does anybody know what they represent?
Threefold miseries.
The threefold miseries, okay. Anybody else? What else would you say? Yeah? Yep, threefold miseries. 3 modes of nature, also known as the gunas. What does gunas mean? Ropes. Yeah, I think that's what you were doing with your hands. Ropes, okay. So using her ropes, using this 3-pronged trident, which represents the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, Durga Devi inflicts suffering on the material entity. She does so that the material being, the living entity, can experience the duality that is the characteristic of the material world. We have heat, we have cold. We have happiness, we have distress. We have fame, we have infamy, etc. And she also fulfills and does not fulfill the material desires of the living entity and continues to bind her in this material world. And until the day that the living entity realizes that there is no escaping of suffering in this material world, and that actually there is a controller. There's something above all of this. There's something more to this material world than just this suffering, than just this so-called happiness, so-called distress, this duality. I always remember this one example. We had a community group here at the Bhakti Center, and there was this woman who had chronic hip pain. And there was one day when she came to our community group, and we asked her, "How are you feeling today? How are you?" She said, "I'm so happy today, there's no pain today." And it was so stark that her happiness was merely the absence of her pain. And this is what we mean by duality. We have so-called happiness in this material world. So when the living entity realizes that there's something more to this, and there's a controller who is personal, and with whom I have a very personal and deep and loving relationship, and when the living entity decides that she wants to serve that relationship and not exploit that relationship, that is the moment that Durga Devi passes our care, the living entity's care, from her three-pronged trident and into the loving embrace of our mother, Srimati Radharani. So, in other words, as I mentioned, we've got Durga Devi, who's the external energy. So this external energy is characterized by things like suffering, as we mentioned, by exploitation, deceit, selfishness, temporality. And we've got the internal Shakti, or the Bhakti Shakti, which is characterized by love and service and knowledge and eternality. And then you've got the Jiva Shakti. So again, we've got Durga Devi, who's external Shakti, or Maya Shakti, Srimati Radharani, who's internal, or Bhakti Shakti. And then you've got all of us, the Jivas, the living entities. We are the marginal energies of Sri Krishna. And we are marginal because we have the choice as to which mother we want to take shelter of. Do we want to take shelter of the mother who's going to lovingly inflict suffering on us, Durga Devi? Or would we like to take shelter of the mother who's going to keep us warm in her embrace, Srimati Radharani? So the marginal potency, the jivas, are, what are we in Sanskrit? We are sat, which means eternal. We are chit, which means full of knowledge. And we are ananda, we're full of bliss. Thank you. And the Maya Shakti, she is asat. When you add the A in front of the word, that negates it. So she's actually full of, if Sat is eternity, Asat means temporality. And then we are, Maya Shakti is Achit, so she is a place of ignorance versus knowledge. And she is Nir Ananda, which means a place of suffering. So it's easy to see that the Jiva, the marginal energy of the Lord, Sat, Chit, and Ananda, when she tries to find happiness in the realm that is Asat, Achit, and Nirananda, her attempts to find happiness in this material world will always be frustrated. They will always be frustrated. And no matter what, sometimes people will say, well, that's not true. I mean, there's happiness in this material world. I have a cool, spouse. I have a cool job. I'm happy in my life. And that's okay. But at the very least, again, we're subjected to duality, and we're subjected to temporality. So everything in this world must come to an end. And therefore, once again, when the jiva, who is filled with Sat, Chit, and Ananda, tries to find happiness in Asat, Achit, and Nirananda, it's an incompatible situation. It's not possible, and we will continuously be poked by Durga Devi's tridents. And so just a little more about Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Sat means, once again, eternally existing. So just because we exist, that doesn't mean that we will know love. And with chit, being knowledgeable, having knowledge means that we exist, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we will know love. And then there's ananda, blissful. If we are blissful, then that means we necessarily exist and we have cognition. And therefore, to be loving is the most whole of existential states. And that is why we are constantly craving this. We're craving a love that is unconditional, that is kind, that is always giving, and that is always selfless. And that's also where we belong. It's the need of the soul. And that is why we crave and why we need Srimati Radharani. So once again, as the marginal energy of the Lord, we have this choice to choose. Would we like to continue to find happiness with the external energy, or would we like to try to find happiness within the internal energy? And so again, this internal energy personified is Srimati Radharani, and today is her divine appearance day. So let's talk a little bit about her appearance. So there was once a very pious king named King Vrishabhanu, and he had a queen called Queen Kirtida. King Vrishabhanu and his wife Kirtida really wanted a child, and they prayed day and night for a child. And they moved to a place called Revel, a sacred place called Revel, in hopes that their prayers in such a sacred place could have more potency. And it's right next to the Yamuna River. So every morning, King Vrishabhanu would go to the Yamuna and say his prayers for a child. And there was one morning that he went to go say his prayers, and in the distance of the Yamuna, he saw something that was glowing, and he couldn't understand what it was. And as it started to drift closer and closer, he was mesmerized, and he saw that actually it was a golden lotus that had thousands of petals. And it was so bright and effulgent, golden like molten gold, it's explained. And he's deeply mystified. And he's looking closer and closer, and he's going closer towards it, and the lotus is drifting closer towards him. And then he sees something that he couldn't believe. He sees the most beautiful baby girl sitting in that lotus, drifting in this Yamuna River. And he can't believe his eyes, and he's thinking, this is the answer to our prayers. This is the daughter, where the Lord is gifting us a baby girl. So just overcome with emotion, he gently picks up the baby girl, and he brings her home to his wife. And the both of them are overjoyed. It's a daughter. We have a daughter. The Lord is gifting us with a daughter. And they couldn't contain their happiness, their emotion. They're so happy. But they were also worried because this baby girl would not open her eyes and she would not make a sound. So they were so concerned that this beautiful baby, she might be deaf and she might be blind. And so in their worry, they called the great sage Narad Muni to their home. And they confided in him, and they said, we're so lucky. They told him of their great fortune. And they also told him of their worry, that we're so worried that this baby girl might be deaf and blind. So Narad Muni said, okay, please bring me the child. So King Vrishabhanu brought the baby and placed her in the arms of Narad Muni. And as soon as Narad Muni held the baby and had her darshan, he went into complete ecstasy. His eyes started to water, his hair stood on end. He couldn't speak, he was speechless. And he was offering obeisances again and again and again to this baby girl because he understood that this is the benefactor of pure love of God herself. This is love personified. This is my Srimati Radharani. And he held her and was again continuously offering obeisances again and again. And of course, King Vrishabhanu and Kirtida were like, what is happening? What is he doing? So after some time, Srimati Radharani broke Narad Muni's trance. And he said to the proud parents, King Vrishabhanu and Queen Kirtida, do not worry. There's nothing to worry about. This child is going to bring everybody unfathomable joy. So please go forward with the celebrations that you would normally go forward with and celebrate the arrival of this girl. So, as was custom in Vedic culture, they had a big party. celebrating the arrival of their girl. And they invited all of the village people, they invited all of their friends, and they had all of these beautiful arrangements made. And there were 4 very special guests at this party as well. So there was Mother Yashoda, there was Maharaj Nanda, there was Balaram, and Sri Krishna. And so when that family arrived, Mother Yashoda was holding Krishna, who was about 1.5 years at that time. So Mother Yashoda was holding baby Krishna in her hands, and then she sat him down. Jai Shri Shri Radha Muralidhara Gaurachandra Ki Jai. And so she sat Krishna down, and she was speaking to Queen Kirtida, who was explaining that, yes, we have this beautiful girl, and she's so beautiful, but we're worried that, she hasn't opened her eyes, and she hasn't spoken one word. And while the 2 mothers were speaking, while the 2 queens were speaking to one another, Sri Krishna just started to crawl away from the scene. And he crawled right up to the bassinet where this baby was. And as soon as he did that, and he sort of propped himself up and lifted himself up so the baby could see him, that was the moment when this baby, Srimati Radharani, opened her big blue eyes and let out the most beautiful cry. And she was letting everybody know that she exists only to view and to see Sri Krishna. So that, of course, brought everybody immense joy, and that was the story of Srimati Radharani's parents. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 4th chapter, this chapter is entitled The Confidential Reasons for the Appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the 56th verse, it is said, Radha Krishna ekatma dui dehadhari anyone vilase rasa asvadana kari. Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed 2 bodies. Thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. So Radha and Krishna are one, manifested as 2, in order to relish relationship with one another. So Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport that Sri Krishna is the potent, and Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. And we cannot separate the potent from the potency, just like we cannot separate fire from heat. So they are inseparable. She is the one who transmits love from the devotee to Sri Krishna. And again, she is the source of every other feminine divine personality. So there's one story in particular that, growing up, our dad used to always tell us that I would love to repeat to you all today about the Gopis, Srimati Radharani being the foremost of them. So this story is relayed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 30th chapter, and that's entitled The Gopis Search for Krishna. So imagine all of the gopis and Krishna are in the forest of Vrindavan, and they are enjoying together. Some of the gopis are massaging Krishna's feet, Krishna's playing the flute for some of them, Krishna's dancing with some of them, and they're having a wonderful time. It's the fulfillment of their lives. It's the joy of their lives. As happy as anyone could be is when the gopis and Krishna were together. And at one point, Krishna disappeared. And all of the gopis were so alarmed and so afraid. They were thinking, my Krishna, what if he steps on something? His feet are so soft. What if he steps on a twig and hurts himself? What happened to him? Is he okay? And they were so worried. And of course, this is a metaphor for times in our life when we don't feel Krishna's presence. Maybe something is not going our way. Maybe something has really hurt us. Maybe something has really shaken us. And we're thinking, Krishna, where did you go? Krishna, where are you? And so this suffering, these pangs of separation that the gopis were feeling, imagine your worst pain and magnify that infinitely. And that's what the gopis were feeling. Where has he gone? Why has he left us? And then just like that, just as soon as he left, he came back. And of course the gopis were so relieved and they were so grateful that he came back. But maybe similarly to how we might have felt in times of distress, maybe we'll say to Krishna, okay, I'm so glad that you're back. I'm so glad that I feel reconnected to you. But why did you leave me in the first place? And that was the question that the gopis asked Krishna. Why did you leave in the first place? And Sri Krishna's answer was, "My dear Gopis, I never left you. I only left your vision. And I only left your vision to increase your attachment for me, to increase your hankering for me. Because that seems to be the only thing that makes you happy, is to be attached to me, is to be loving towards me." And our mood in our Vaishnava tradition is Vipralamba Bhav, love and separation. A very mundane comparison is, imagine, you're with your spouse and then he or she travels for a business trip. When they're away, you miss them much more than when they're present and you're like, "Can you move your socks, please? Put your socks away." So there's a sweetness in separation. Even in the secular world, we have this expression that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and that's actually the mood of our Vaishnava tradition. So Krishna said, "I just left your vision, but I was never away from you. I did this to increase your love and attachment to me." And he said, "I just don't know what else to do. I am the supreme personality of Godhead. I am the supreme controller. But no matter what I do to make you happy, the only thing that seems to make you happy is serving me. And I don't know what else to do. I try to give you things. I try to do whatever you want from me, but nothing makes you happier than serving me. So I, as the supreme Lord, am completely bewildered. I have no idea what else to do. So let your service be your reward. Let your service be what makes you happy. And in the meantime, as I sit here overwhelmed with what to do and how to make you happy, let me be your servant. Would you like me to dance? I will dance. Would you like me to play the flute? I'll play the flute. Whatever you need, I am your servant." And this is the kind of relationship we can have with Krishna, this beautiful service competition. I'm going to serve you better today, and Krishna's like, "Oh really? I'm going to serve you better today." But he shows us we can try to one-up each other, and this beautiful service competition is what we're able to have, as exemplified by the Gopis. And every single one of these Gopis is an expansion of our Srimati Radharani. Her love for Krishna is so selfless, and it's so free from envy, that she expands herself so as to increase Sri Krishna's pleasure. She expands herself into different varieties. She puts other people ahead of herself to increase Krishna's Krishna's happiness, so that other people can have a chance to serve Krishna, and Krishna can feel this kind of variety and this pleasure in that. It is completely pure and selfless, Srimati Radharani's love. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, same chapter, 4th chapter, verses 122 to 24, it is written, "Purnanandamaya ami chinmaya purna tattva radhikara premeyama karaya unmata na jani radhara premeyache katabala ye vale amara kare sarvada vivala radhikara preme guru ami shishyanata sada amanana nritya nachaya upata." Translation, this is Sri Krishna speaking. "I am the full spiritual truth, and am made of full joy. But the love of Srimati Radharani drives me mad. I do not know the strength of Radha's love, with which she always overwhelms me. The love of Radhika is my teacher, and I am her dancing pupil. Her prema makes me dance various novel dances." So Krishna is so deeply overwhelmed by Radha's love, and he can't even understand it. So much so that he descends as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to try to understand Srimati Radharani's love for him. So how fortunate, when I read that verse, how fortunate are we to get a glimpse of this highest of high loves? We're starting to understand why this is something that's not spoken about all the time. It's so sacred and it's so high that we don't always hear about this in our scriptures. So many people misunderstand our culture to be male-centric and even oppressive to the feminine. But the feminine aspect is actually the highest and so divine and so sacred, which is why it's hidden. It's the same reason why we hold our beads in a bead bag because the beads are sacred and they're to be covered. It's the same reason why we're not meant to publicly announce the name of our guru, because it's sacred. And so it's the same concept that Srimati Radharani, she's so sacred, her love is so high and pure, and again, I'm so unqualified. We're also unqualified to speak about this, and that's why it's hidden. And all of these kinds of confidential topics, again, they're not to be discussed so widely, and particularly because Srimati Radharani is in this highest rasa of conjugal love with Sri Krishna, or relationship with the Lord. And the conjugal rasa has two varieties, Svakya and Parakya. So Svakya means the relationship as a married husband and wife, and Parakya is even higher. It is the relationship with Krishna as a paramour. Parakya is higher because it is more enthusiastic, as Srila Prabhupada explains. But you can see why it's not discussed so widely. Jai Jagannath. It's always so nice to see your face in the crowd. It makes me so much more comfortable. So you can see that it can't be discussed so widely because it's so open for misinterpretation. It's so open for people to contaminate with their material minds and senses. Even Shukadeva Goswami did not say Srimati Radharani's name. He just referenced her in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, 30th chapter, verse 28, when he said, Anayaradito nunam bhagavan harir ishvara yamno vihaya govinda pritayam anayadraha. Translation, certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the word Aradhita refers to Srimati Radharani. He comments, the sage Shukadeva Goswami has tried with all endeavor to keep her name hidden, but now it automatically shines forth from the moon of his mouth. That he has spoken her name is indeed her mercy, and thus the word Aradhita is like rumbling of a kettle drum sounded to announce her great fortune. So again, Srimati Radharani is kind of hidden, and yet she's everywhere, even if she's hidden. She's in the Maha Mantra as, which word in the Maha Mantra? Hey. Which is the vocative of Hara, which represents Srimati Radharani. As we discussed, she's Durga Devi, with whom we are interacting regularly. She is Krishna's internal potency, and she's right behind this curtain in the deity form as well. So how can we please Srimati Radharani? I have till 6:30, right? 6:30. So how can we please Srimati Radharani? So to get close to the highest possible love, to love personified, we have to work on abandoning the false ego, which means the desire to control, to own, and to take. We have to continue to nourish our tendency to serve, which is innate in us. We have to try our best to rid ourselves of envy, jealousy, anger, and hatred. And we have to intentionally and systematically cultivate qualities like tolerance, humility, patience, and deep compassion. Remember, Srimati Radharani is our mother, and she is the mother of all living entities, and she is so inclined and enthusiastic to give us her mercy. And all we have to do is try our best to root out our anarthas, or obstacles in the path of devotional service, and also work on serving others. And this is really key, because both of those things are synonymous. By working on ourselves, we are of more service to others, and service is the key. Service and sincerity in our service is the key back to Godhead. And Srimati Radharani in particular really cares so much about devotee care. And so the best thing that we can do for her as we're rooting out our ananthas is look out for one another. And remember, Srimati Radharani's service is to bring the souls to Krishna's attention. She is so eager. She is so eager to say, look, Krishna, this jiva is so sincere. Please accept him. Please accept her. And Krishna is obliged to accept that person. So if we can please Srimati Radharani, we will be automatically accepted by Sri Krishna. If Radharani recommends us to him, Sri Krishna will accept us. And so to serve Srimati Radharani, once again, is to assist her in her service of presenting souls to Krishna. To say, hey, Sri Krishna, look at this jiva, look how sincere and wonderful this person is. Please accept him in your service. So how do we do that? We can do that through some kirtan. We can do that whether that's book distribution, whether that's just being a good person, being a good example of somebody who's practicing bhakti. It could be chanting your rounds every day. It could be something that's just trying to embody, trying to imbibe the qualities that we are taught to imbibe in our culture and our tradition, and trying to share that with other people. But it so much comes out in relationship with others. So as Srimati Radharani shows us, she is so free from envy. She is presenting other people to Krishna. She's putting herself in the back. So when we're seeing people advancing in Krishna consciousness, it's so important that we encourage and we help and we serve. And it sounds really easy to say. Some of you are listening and thinking, yeah, of course, what else would we do? But envy, it's so easy for envy to creep into our devotional lives. Somebody's doing something really big for Krishna. Krishna, why can't you let me do that? I want to do this. I have big hopes and dreams. How come my hopes and dreams aren't working out? I'm guilty of this. Krishna, like that person's cool, I get it, but why not me? I don't understand. So this is what Srimati Radharani really wants us to work on. And so I would love for everybody, if you don't mind, to think of 2 things that we're going to work on over the next year. And one of them is an anartha that we would like to root out of our hearts. So an anartha is an obstacle, an internal obstacle, something there's a weed in our devotional creeper that we're going to work on rooting, or getting out. So what is that anartha or quality, negative quality that I'm going to try to root out? So please think about that for a moment. And also think about one devotee relationship that you are going to try to invest in and try to nurture. Maybe it's a difficult relationship that you're going to work on sorting out, that you're going to work on making better. So if you could please meditate on those 2 things, and if I could also ask you, if you don't mind, to choose somebody who's in the room today that you're friends with, and share your goal with that person, and allow that person to be your accountability partner for the next year. And in 1 year's time, when we present ourselves before Srimati Radharani on Radhastami, we can present each other to Srimati Radharani and say, Radharani, this jiva has worked so hard on rooting out this anartha and on mending this relationship. Please present him or her to Sri Krishna. And that's going to be the goal for a year from now. So next year we want to be able to show our Divine Mother our progress. So in conclusion, I just wanted to read 2 pages from this beautiful book, Bhakti Shakti. Yadana Prabhu, thank you so much for introducing me to this book a few weeks ago. In preparation for this talk, a lot of my source material was from this book, Bhakti Shakti by Pranada Mataji, Goddess of Divine Love. Highly recommend. So we'll just read 2 small meditations. If you would like, you can close your eyes. If you don't want to, no problem. I'm going to read about 2 pages, so that's about maybe 5 minutes. So please enjoy. Under desire trees in the supramundane abode composed of conscious spiritual energy, Sri Radha and her girlfriends dance with Krishna. Her charming movements are the very nature of spirit. Her wide blue eyes, blooming in a smile that reaches almost to her ears, also dance. With them she captures Sri Krishna, whose steps follow hers. The movements of Radha's arms, hands, feet, and face express the tidal wave of pure emotion that churns in her body. The dynamic flow of her dance moves from exuberant and animated to yielding and gentle, as the tale of her pure, selfless love unfolds in a secret garden of sweet-smelling vines and fruit-bearing trees. That place is indivisible, real, self-luminous, ever-fresh, eternal, and the embodiment of truth and beauty. That ever-existing realm is the setting for the transcendental golden and sapphire twin jewels, Radha and Krishna. The Narad Pancharatna describes Radha as the bestower of all perfection, the most perfect, the source of perfection, the perfect mystic yogini. Her uncommon limbs blossom with sweetness and charm. Her teeth are like a row of precious pearls. Her spiritual body is a rising ocean of the beauty of youth. Her anklets sing a captivating melody as she moves. She wears earrings, a gold locket around her neck, bracelets, armbands, and rings with precious gems on her fingers and toes. In actuality, her beauty beautifies the ornaments she wears. Poets say millions of soothing moons cannot compare to her golden luster. Her long black braid is decorated with strings of delicate flowers and gems. Dressed gorgeously and smiling slightly, she appears transcendently charming. Her ornaments represent the blazing ecstasies of virtue and the constant ecstasies of divine love, headed by jubilation. In a forest bower decorated with flowers and festoons and canopied by fruiting trees and flowering vines, Radha and Krishna sat on a golden seat with soft white cushions and exchanged riddles. Birdsong filled the air, and humming bees gathered nectar from the profusion of flowers. Krishna asked, "What's alive, though dead, has a body of 9 gates like embodied humans, and enchants the 3 worlds?" "It's your crooked flute," Radha responded, "with which you play enchanting melodies and draw everyone near to you. Now you answer. Who's young, though very old, and both bound and liberated?" "It's me, dear Radha. I am an ever-fresh youth, though the oldest person. Though I'm liberated, I'm bound by the love of my devotees." Just at that moment, a large, lazy bumblebee, attracted by the exotic, transcendental fragrance of Radha's face, buzzed determinedly around her. Radha became frightened, and seeing this, one of the couple's friends began to shoo the bee away. Bees and Krishna are both called Madhusudan. One meaning of the word is nectar eater. Once the friend had successfully driven the bee away, he announced, "Madhusudan has gone." These words entered Radha's ears like a virulent poison that claimed her eyesight. No longer able to see Krishna, she collapsed like a vine without support. Crying uncontrollably and breathing heavily, she mumbled, "Madhusudan has left me." Hot tears streamed from her eyes, and she became nearly unconscious. Seeing Radha's intense symptoms, the trees shed their flowers, the birds stopped singing, and the vines over the forest bower wilted. Holding her in his arms, Krishna sat speechless in wonder at the force of her great love. The intensity of emotion surging through her transcendental body entered Krishna's body, and tears began to pour from his eyes as well. After much endeavor, the friend who had shooed away the bee convinced Radha that Krishna was right next to her and eased the hearts of all present. Jai Srimati Radharani ki. Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Vasudeva is going to introduce our last portion of the festivities before we take prasad.
Thank you so much, Radha Bhakti, for a beautiful talk again. I want to read a quote by Srila Prabhupada. He spoke this during a lecture on Radhastami, and this will introduce our next offering, in which you'll all get to participate. So please listen very carefully. Anyone, this is Srila Prabhupada directly speaking, anyone who comes before Radharani to serve Krishna, oh, she becomes very pleased. Oh, this is Radharani's thinking. Oh, here's a devotee of Krishna. She immediately recommends Krishna. Oh, here's a devotee. He's better than me. This is Radharani. I may not be a devotee. I may be most fallen. But if I try to reach Krishna through Radharani, then my business is successful. Therefore, we should worship Radharani first. That is our business. Instead of offering directly one flower to Krishna, you just put it in the hands of Radharani. And this is how we should pray. My mother, Radharani, Jaganmata, if you kindly take this flower and offer it to Krishna. Oh, Radharani says, oh, you have brought a flower? Krishna said, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachiti. But don't try to offer to Krishna directly. Just offer through Radharani. It will be very much appreciated by Srimati Radharani. So this is what we'll do. We'll have Kirtan. Everyone can come forward. We have a beautiful plate of flowers from our rooftop here, grown by our own devotees in service of Radha and Muridhar, and wanted every day by Arjuna Prabhu with great love. They're beautiful yellow flowers, golden like Radharani herself. So please, with your heart, pray to Radharani. Oh Radharani, I brought a flower for you to offer to Krishna. And as Prabhupada says here, it will be very much appreciated by Radharani. So that's what we'll do. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And let's make this a wonderful offering of our hearts, offering of our devotion, and offering of a simple flower to Radharani for Krishna's pleasure, for Radharani's pleasure. Hare Krishna.
So we'll just need to make just a simple walkway along there, so people can come in, and there's lots of space up in here. I'd like to invite Janavi to come please and sing Kirtan for us. Abhishek would like to come and please accompany her and Mridanga.
Jai Shri Radharani.
Jai Srimati Radharani ki Tapta Kanchana Gauraki Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari. Sing together if you know the words. Radhe you're not standing in the line to offer a flower, if you could please either sit down, or if you notice that you're blocking someone and you want to dance, you can move to a suitable spot. Thank you so much. So everyone can take darshan.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Bhakti. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to all of our beautiful, beautiful volunteers, each and every one of you. I could spend the rest of the evening thanking you by name, Nirvika and Champa, Shore, and so many people who volunteered and made this festival happen. Thank you so much. We have prasad being served for you in the back. A reminder for those that want to stop by our Amrita boutique, it's downstairs, open for the rest of the evening. They have a 15% discount on all items Radharani related, which is everything. For a special Radhastami, please enjoy prasad. Some people are asking if you'd like to make a donation to the Bhakti Center to support these festivals and all we do. We have a sign with a QR code or an iPad in the back that you can make a donation. Please, please, please make this your home, and we look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. We have Bhagavad Shravana tomorrow, 11 a.m. with Rajvi Harku for Bhakti in Mumbai. So please come by for that if you're here, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and happy Radhastami. Jai Jai Shri Radhe! One last announcement for all of you. If anybody would like to do service for Radharani and just kind of help us clean up and volunteer to help us kind of put the festival at an end, please come and see Evan. He's got his hand up over here. Or just find any of us. We would love to engage you in some service before you go. I got announcements coming in left and right. October 21st. You guys all love that last Kirtan with Janaki? If you would like an exclusive sound concert event found nowhere else you've never experienced before, with new musical material, devotional offerings, October 21st, our U.S. concert tour is beginning here in New York City at the Town Hall. It sounds very official. In Midtown, here in New York City. It's a 1,400 seat venue, which means you need to all bring at least 50 friends. Her manager told me that this morning. So please, you can go to our website, Johnny, go to our website, you'll see it right there. You can get a ticket, bring a friend. It'll be an evening not to miss. I'll be there. A lot of people I know will be there. So please, please go and check that out. We would love to have us come together as a spiritual family. And tell friends, it's a great place to bring anybody who just loves music or devotional energy. Okay, that's it. Prasadam is in the back. Hare Krishna.
Let's go turn these fans off real quick.
Say hello here.